What is up, YouTube? My name is Clickwood, and today I'm going to be bringing you some Madden 25 Ultimate Team gameplay using my new team. Now, before you ask, I am going to be doing a lineup update for those who are interested here in the next couple of days, but you will be getting a sneak preview of that lineup in this video. Now, as fun as Madden has been for me so far, that's not really what I want to talk about today. Today, I want to talk about the breaking news from the NFL world that broke on Monday night. Well, I guess it's not really so much news as it is further details on a bigger story that had happened earlier this NFL season. What I'm talking about is the Miami Dolphins bullying scandal, primarily the alleged harassment from Richie Incognito to his fellow offensive lineman Jonathan Martin. So in case you've been living under a rock, let me give you a quick recap of this story. In late 2013, Martin left the Dolphins team facilities citing quote-unquote emotional reasons. Now, this was right in the middle of the season when the Dolphins were still right in the thick of things. They weren't eliminated from playoff contention, and Martin really wasn't coming under fire by the media for his play. But according to Martin, he was being harassed by his teammates at the facility, in specific, the guy who played next to him on the offensive line, Richie Incognito. So we quickly found out that Martin had checked himself into a mental hospital and then began preparing a document that supposedly would detail what he believed was a string of multiple bullying incidences that led to him leaving the team. ESPN's Adam Schefter then reported that he had been given audio from a voicemail left by Incognito on Martin's phone where he used racial slurs, threatened violence against not only Martin himself but also members of his family. And needless to say, everything kind of pointed to a serious problem that was happening in the NFL, especially in Miami. I mean, we've heard of things like hazing before, but threatening people and their family members, I mean, this is going way more than that. This isn't making a guy pay for a $100 steak for all the other offensive linemen at the restaurant. It's not filling a guy's shoes up with whipped cream or, something stupid like that. This is real life crazy stuff. And needless to say, Incognito looked very, very guilty. But last night, after months and months of speculation, we got new information. And now everything looks completely different. On Monday night, a full year of text message history between Martin and Incognito got released online. If you want to check out what was specifically said in those text messages, I will have that link provided in the details of this video. So check out that. You'll be able to see the full typed out text message history between these two. You can actually search on it so you can find the specific text messages that were quoted in previous stories and things like that. But needless to say, things look very, very different now than they did a couple of months ago when this story first broke. I have to admit, though, that when I first heard about everything that was supposedly happening between these two, I wasn't particularly surprised that Richie Incognito was involved. I mean, this is a guy who I've been saying for years, watching him play on the field, this might be the dirtiest player in the NFL right now. I mean, the guy was kicking guys, tripping them, punching them between the plays, face masks, all of the dirty things that you see on a Sunday afternoon, but all happening in one guy. And it wasn't just on one team. He did it on other teams when he was a member of the Rams. And so, it's those kind of prior incidences that really lead you to believe that it's very possible that somebody like Richie Incognito, who is a bully on the field, could very well be a bully off the field as well, even to his teammates. So, like I said, I wasn't really surprised, but last night, my opinion completely changed when I heard about this story, the update to the story. When I read these text messages myself, I really began to believe everything that Incognito has been saying. He did an interview with Jay Glazer where he talked about how everything between the two of them that was happening was playful fun between two guys. And as someone who, makes fun of my friends and, we have a good joking relationship with one another. We can call each other a jackass or an asshole or, something like that. And everybody just laughs about it because we know that deep down we're friends and we do anything for one another. Incognito seemed to believe that that was the type of relationship that he had with Jonathan Martin. And when you read some of these text messages, you really start to put that picture together and you really start to think that maybe there's something deeper happening here. It's not just bullying. Maybe there is some sort of framing that's going on between Martin and Incognito where Martin needed a person to blame for his own emotional problems that he was clearly having when he checked himself into a mental institution. But what really seems to be confusing to me is the lack of foresight that Martin showed if the plan all along was to blame Incognito for these problems that he was having. Because when you go back and you read these text messages, and you're reading them from the days that these supposedly horrible things were happening, where Incognito's leaving racist messages on Martin's phone, and you look at the text messages that are happening during that month, you go back to April 2013 on these text message logs, and these guys are messing around with each other. They're making jokes back and forth, asking each other what's going on. And when I say that, I don't just mean Incognito sending texts to Martin and Martin's just responding with 1 or 2 word responses. No, he's the one who's initiating some of these exchanges, these text exchanges. And when I say exchange, I don't mean like they're fighting. I mean like, hey man, what's going on? That kind of a text. And if there really was bullying going on during that time, then why is Martin initiating contact with Incognito? It really doesn't make any sense. And then you go down to the end of the month, and he's sending him texts that were pictures of his brand new dog that he got. So I don't know about you guys, but if I'm getting bullied by somebody, even if it's somebody at my place of employment, I'm not going to start initiating contact with them. I'm not going to be sending them messages on a Saturday night going, hey man, what's going on? What are you up to tonight? I'm going to be staying to myself, maybe hanging out with other teammates, maybe, a different group of teammates, as opposed to the guy that's supposedly making my life a living hell and threatening my family. So when you start to read these texts, you really start to get that picture that these are 2 guys who are good friends, and there was joking between the 2 of them. And yeah, sure, maybe he said those things. Maybe he said, I'll slap you and I'll slap your mother. But it wasn't serious. It wasn't a threat. It was a joke. So for Jonathan Martin to come out and make these allegations about Richie Incognito being the reason that he had to leave the team, it's a very, very strong thing to say. And as you can see, it also has possibly cost Richie Incognito the rest of his career in the NFL, because teams do not want to be associated with that kind of thing. So being that that's the case, my personal opinion on this whole situation, and after talking to a couple of friends, we kind of came to this agreement that it's very possible that Martin started seeing a therapist. And I think in one of the texts, he mentioned something along those lines. Maybe the therapist pried a little bit deeper and asked, why do you feel this way? Are you being bullied? And, sometimes that kind of thing can boil over inside a person, being asked repeatedly, when your friend calls you this name and this name, even though you think he's joking, do you think that maybe that's actually bullying? Maybe these ideas are kind of being put in Martin's head by his therapist, and probably not intentionally, but she or he, whoever the therapist is, isn't coming from the world of the NFL. She's seeing it from, the 16-year-old student who comes into the classroom and their bully is there and saying these things about them. It's not the same. An NFL player and a 16-year-old kid are not the same thing. The reality of the situation, in my opinion, at this point, is that Incognito, crazy enough as it sounds, is the guy who we should be coming to his defense at this point. The craziest thing of it all seems to be that Incognito never saw this coming. And how could he have seen it coming? If you go back and read the texts from around the time when this story came out, Martin and Incognito are still talking like friends. They're inviting each other out to hang out at clubs and restaurants and things like that. And then all of a sudden the text messages stop on the 28th when the story came out. Martin, his only response is, "What's up, man? The world's gone crazy, LOL. I'm good, though. Congrats on the win." That doesn't seem like the kind of response that would come from somebody who's being bullied and doesn't want to talk to this person ever again. So then he starts to say things like, I'm good, man. It's insane, but I don't blame you guys. It's just the culture around football. By the way, never check yourself into a mental hospital. Then on November 1st, Incognito sends a text message to Martin with a screenshot from his iPhone with a picture of ESPN.com and the story saying basically that Martin is blaming Incognito. And he just says, "What's up with this?" Doesn't say anything racial, doesn't say anything bullying, anything like that at all. Martin just says, "I got nothing to do with it, man. I haven't said anything to anyone." Incognito asks him if they can talk, and there's no response. And that's the end of the text message string. Again, I understand that this is a hard situation. I understand that whenever there's allegations of bullying, we want to make sure that we investigate this thing to the fullest. But that's what I feel like the media didn't do in this case. The media basically said that Incognito was guilty before the information actually came out. And after reading these text messages, I have a very tough time believing that Martin was actually quote-unquote bullied. He wasn't. If he's being bullied, then he would stop talking to Incognito. He would stop asking him to go out to restaurants and clubs and stop talking about his new dog that he got and all these different types of things. It's crap. It's a bunch of crap, and Jonathan Martin should be ashamed of himself. Unless there's some crazy information that comes out where he's somehow being bullied to the point where he actually physically believes that he's going to be attacked if he doesn't text Richie Incognito for some reason, then I don't care what else he has to say. It's garbage. It's all a bunch of crap. So now that I've got all this off my chest, I want to hear what you guys have to say about this. Do you agree with me? Do you think that Jonathan Martin is the guy who we should be going after about this? Do you think Richie Incognito is being unfairly persecuted in this case? Or do you think that everything that's happened is perfectly okay based on the circumstances that were presented within these text messages, the voicemail, and everything else that's come out so far? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Make sure that you leave a like on this if you could. And also, if you guys can, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. This has been Clickwood. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you beautiful bitches again soon.